Hi, my name's Leah Cardos. I'm back with another analysis of Bowie's song You Feel So Lonely You Could Die, which is track 13 from The Next Day, his album from 2013. The tempo is a dotted quarter note equals 80 beats per minute. It has two tonalities, which is a common thing for tracks from this album. The verses are in E flat major and the choruses are in B flat major. The song form is ABC, ABC. After an intro, it's verse, bridge, chorus, but the lyrics don't repeat ever. There aren't that many Bowie songs in 6/8 meter. A 6/8 meter just means that the pulse can be measured in 6, grouped into 2 strong beats with 3 divisions. A lilting, swaying variation on the standard downbeat, backbeat drum pattern used in rock and roll. The two most famous of Bowie's 6/8 songs appear on 1972's The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars, which is a landmark record of the glam era. The album opener, 5 Years, and the finale track, Rock and Roll Suicide, are both in 6/8. You Feel So Lonely You Could Die references both of these songs not only in the rhythm and meter, instrumentation and style, but also with direct quotation. When Rock and Roll Suicide reaches its emphatic key change, You're Not Alone moment, Mick Ronson's distorted guitar, doubled with sax section and strings, traces a chromatic movement between 2 major chords which are a minor third apart, in that case B flat and D flat. It became one of Bowie's signature motifs and a glam rock trope, the cathartic sound that signalled the euphoric end of a Ziggy and the Spiders set. It was referenced in the musical Hedwig and the Angry Inches finale song, Midnight Radio. And also in Morrissey's thinly veiled Ziggy homage, I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, from Your Arsenal in 1992. And that album was coincidentally produced by ex-Spider Mick Ronson. Bowie responded in turn to Morrissey's tribute by recording his own campy cover version of I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday just a year later on his album Black Tie White Noise in 1993. But he notably dropped the glam tropes for his version. There was no 6/8 meter, no Ronson-esque chromatic line. It was a payback gesture.
His last album, Your Arsenal, was produced, ironically, by Mick Ronson. And Mick sent me a copy of the tape, and I couldn't but notice that one of the songs on the album, I Know It's Gonna Happen Someday, was a kind of a parody of one of my earlier songs, Rock and Roll Suicide. The suicide bit. Okay. And so I sort of thought it would be fun to take that song and do it the way I would have done it in 1974-ish.
In You Feel So Lonely, those glam references are reinstated. The rock and roll suicide motif, along with a classic Ziggy era arrangement. 12-string guitar, a rock band supported by a string quartet. In this case, the arrangement courtesy of Visconti, of course. And backing vocals that build and swell in all the right places. Another Ziggy quotation enters at the very end of the track. As the final chords ring out, Zachary Alford strikes up the same 6/8 drum pattern from 5 Years as suspended tremolo strings shiver on top of an uncertain chord. Fading away against ghostly ambient guitar tones. Rock and Roll Suicide and 5 Years encapsulate the rise and fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. The way that You Feel So Lonely stages its concluding moments is like a recreation of a fan playing Ziggy on repeat. It could also be read as a reversal, a fall followed by the rise. The suicide chord rings out. Woody Woodmansey's drum beat strikes up with the promise of a few more years yet. Like other compositions on The Next Day, this song uses different keys to territorialize the structure. With the verse in E-flat and the chorus in B-flat, the contrasting sections have a plagal relationship. The plagal relationship is the classic Amen cadence, which you can hear resolving after the final chord of the song. The two keys are step-related in the circle of fifths, and the transition from the end of the chorus in B-flat back to the verse in E-flat resolves neatly inside itself. The four chords accompanying the punctuated delivery of die, I. When played with a capo on the first fret, it would be logical and much easier to play it that way. Spell out the progression D, E, A, D. Bowie's vocal is precise and powerful, the strongest performance on The Next Day in my opinion. As the arrangement builds intensity in the bridge section, gospel-style choir voices open up and swell. Reminiscent of Nile Rodgers' choral arrangements in Bowie's 1993 Morrissey cover. Bowie's three guiding words, traitor, urban, comeuppance, inform potential readings of the lyric. The song is sung from the point of view of someone who has seen a shady character double-crossing people and getting up to such vile mischief that the narrator believes they are deserving of the worst ends possible. Suicide by hanging, a quick assassination, or worst fate of all, dying of loneliness. The curse, I hope you feel so lonely you could die, directly references Elvis Presley's 1958 hit Heartbreak Hotel, its bitter animosity contrasting sharply with Ziggy's cathartic declaration, "Oh no love, you're not alone. On the next day, you are so lonely, you could die." The lyrics are venomous and sort of over the top, bordering on camp in places, particularly in the delivery of lines like, "And people don't like you, but you will leave without a sound, without an end. Hope leaders shall own you, death alone shall love you. I hope you feel so lonely you could die." They describe the treachery of a secretive person that the narrator has been observing closely for some time. It could be about a spy, some traitorous historical figure, or a story plucked from the news. Fan sleuths online unearthed a local NYC story from 2010 about a man who was dropping anti-Semitic notes around Long Island. A report that Bowie plausibly might have seen. Ziggy's spectre, occupying so much of the musical and inverse thematic territory, makes possible a reading that the mysterious person being observed is Bowie himself, the one who has been working so secretively. Hidden from your friends, stealing all they knew. In the context of The Next Day's interest in the complex natures of identity and in exposing the dark aspects of the self to the light, Ziggy's empathetic observation, "You've been watching yourself, but you're too unfair," from Rock and Roll Suicide, and the suspension of the song's finality, offering instead a commencement of 5 years and a different perspective, sets up a dialogue between the songs across time and space. Such a dialogue could recontextualize the song You Feel So Lonely from one of cruelty and vindictiveness to one of redemption from the poisonous effects of destructive negative self-talk. Morrissey haunts the song and its other possibilities. The two stars had a relationship that began as one-sided fan worship. Bowie was one of Morrissey's teen idols. They met for the first time in August 1990 backstage at a Sound and Vision tour show in Manchester, and from there embarked on a brief and strange friendship. The year after, they appeared briefly on stage together at one of Morrissey's Los Angeles shows, crooning a duet of T-Rex's Cosmic Dancer. Then, just prior to their trading of musical tributes and jibes in 1992-1993, Bowie offered him the song Goodbye Mr. Ed. Morrissey turned it down, saying, "Nothing within the song shouts out to me." Bowie eventually recorded the song with his band Tin Machine in 1991, and it appeared on Tin Machine 2, which is an awesome album, by the way, one of my favorites.
Someone sees it all. Goodbye, Mr. Ed.
Morrissey later performed as the support act on the European leg of Bowie's Outside tour in 1995, before he quit after only 9 gigs, so 48 in total. From this point on, their friendship soured into bitchy antagonism. Morrissey mocked Bowie in the ITV documentary The Importance of Being Morrissey in 2002.
Just before you're finishing your set, I appear at the back and I come on and we sing one of my songs and you just slowly fade away and your musicians fade away and mine come on, which effectively deprives people of, saying goodbye to me, if you like. So I thought that was very, very cagey. So I eventually left the tour and received enormous bad press for it, and he never spoke to me again. You have to worship at the Temple of David when you become involved. He was a fascinating artist, 1970, 71, 72, but not now.
And again to the press in 2004. Morrissey then hired Visconti to produce his 2006 album Ringleader of the Tormentors. And he was invited to write the foreword to Visconti's autobiography in 2008. A possible olive branch that made a reconciliation seem possible. But Bowie didn't seem interested in a truce. He resumed the public back and forth of mild hostilities in 2013, rejecting Morrissey's request to use an image of both stars together on the cover of a re-release of his tribute to the Kray twins, the last of the famous international playboys. Too late to factor in on the songwriting here, but it suggests that there was residual ill feeling on Bowie's side that outlasted the recording of the next day. The denied image was replaced on the cover by a photo of Morrissey with fellow Northern singer Rick Astley in the end. If this song could cast a real curse, one might believe that it had worked. After coming out in support of far-right politics, Morrissey has fallen out of public favour since 2013. There is precedent in the catalogue for the occasional diss track. Teenage Wildlife in 1980 was seemingly targeted at Gary Newman, and in 1993 the B-side Lucy Can't Dance was said to be a dig at Madonna. In the contexts of their musical shots fired, starting in the 90s, could this song be a return volley in response to Morrissey's sardonic death fantasy, You Were Good in Your Time, from Years of Refusal, 2009? A song that many fans speculated was directed at Bowie specifically.
In your time, and we thank you.
If so, then this withering retort is a queen bitch move, the highest of camp. I asked Visconti whether he thought it could be true. He replied, I don't know, it's possible.
I hear you moaning in your room. Oh, see if I can. Oh, please make it soon.
Regardless of that theory, The track sits between songs on the next day that once again consider the casual mutability of truth and the mystery of identity. Before it, there's another You song, as in You Will Set the World on Fire, where an unnamed female artist, the black girl on guitar, who we may presume to be folk singer Odetta from Dylan's mid-60s Greenwich Village scene, is hyped for fame by a would-be manager whose intentions seem slightly disingenuous. The 3 words for that song manipulate origin or text. After it, the fevered dream of Heat, wherein Bowie's narrator finally admits he doesn't know who he really is at all. If he ever said that he did, then he was a liar, the 3 words being tragic nerve mystification. In the middle of those 2 songs is an exploration of theft and revenge, complicated and enriched by its temporal connections and linear possibilities. Rock and Roll Suicide from the Mirror Universe, turned upside down and back to front. For me, You Feel So Lonely You Could Die is also instructive, informing an attentive method of reading Bowie's last works at various depths, standing alone, amongst the local references of the album, and also steeped inside Bowie's signifying language and the psychological spaces of questing and questioning identities.